If your car broke down tomorrow or you lost your job next week, could you cover the cost without going into debt? For years, my answer was no, and that one mistake kept me broke, stressed, and stuck in debt. Once I fixed it, I was able to go from living paycheck to paycheck to creating financial independence. So in this video, I'm breaking down the exact monthly steps I use to build my emergency fund fast, including how much you actually need, where you should keep it, and how to fill it up without feeling like you're sacrificing everything. Let's get into it. Hey, I'm Davina and welcome to my finance corner. I've been working in accounting and finance for over 15 years, and on this channel we'll talk all things money in a way that's simple and relatable. Let's get into it. So before we jump into this monthly checklist, I want to take a second to talk about why having an emergency fund is so important. Your emergency fund is simply money set aside in a dedicated account to protect you from life's unexpected curveballs. Think of it as your financial safety net. It's literally the foundation of your finances. It's your first line of defense because if your boiler breaks down or you have some unexpected medical bills, it can stop you from reaching for your credit card or having to take out a loan to cover the costs. And having this fund gets you ahead of so many people because according to Bankrate, 24% of US adults have no emergency fund at all, and 30% have some savings but not enough to cover 3 months of living expenses. So half of the US population doesn't have an emergency fund to cover the costs. And I can relate to this because I've been made redundant 3 times. And on all 3 occasions, I didn't have an emergency fund. One of those times was actually during the 2008 recession, and it took me 3 months to get a job, and I was literally broke. I had no money. I ended up getting myself further into debt. And there was also a time where the gearbox on my car went, and I had to borrow money from a friend to cover those costs. And that feeling of not being able to cover myself, cover the costs and having to rely on outside sources or just experience that uncomfortability, I didn't like it. So I said to myself, I need to sort out my finances, and the first thing I need to do is build an emergency fund. And once I built my emergency fund, everything else became a lot easier. I could breathe, I could plan, and I could eventually start building them off. Now, let's get into this monthly checklist. So step 1, decide on your goal. The first step is deciding how much you actually need for your emergency fund. Now, most people will just say, I'll save what I can. But if you don't have a goal, it's way easier to give up when things get hard. So base the amount that you need for your emergency fund on your essential living expenses. By this, I mean things like your housing, whether that's your paying your rent or your mortgage, your food, your transportation, your utilities. If you work from home, you're going to need the internet. If you have a medical condition, then you're going to need money to pay for medical expenses. So anything that's essential to you. Once you calculate those costs, you can use the 136 method. And this is essentially where you start by saving 1 month of those essential living expenses. Then you work your way to 3 months, then aim for 6 months as a minimum. Given today's economy, you might want to even save 9 to 12 months, but no more than 12 months, and I'll get into why later. If saving that feels like too much, then you could just start with focusing on saving your first £1,000. And think of that as a mini safety net, and that alone will cover you from a lot of common emergencies. So your micro challenge for the month is write down your goal and make it specific. So for example, don't just say, I want to build my emergency fund. Say, I want to save £10,000 for my emergency fund in the next 12 months by saving £833 every month. That is specific. And you also want to write it down because once you write it down, it becomes a commitment, not just that idea. Step 2, pick the right place. If your emergency fund is in your main account, you're going to want to dip into it. Your fund needs to be somewhere that's separate, safe, and easily accessible, but not easy to dip into. So people often ask me, where should I keep my emergency fund? And I always say, in a high yield savings account, because these accounts let you earn money on your interest while it's just sitting there. Now, if you're in the UK, you can use a cash ISA because this will allow you to save up to £20,000 tax-free, and you won't have to pay any tax on the gains. Right now, some good options are Plum. They're currently offering a 4.66%. Trading 212 offering a 4.1% interest rate. But these are for cash ISAs. And Chase is also offering 5%, but this is just on general savings accounts. I recommend using a online-only bank account because these bank accounts offer higher interest rates than your typical high street banks because they don't have the typical overhead costs, and they're able to pass on those savings to you in the form of higher interest rates and lower costs. So your micro challenge for this month is to open a bank account. You can use platforms like USwitch to compare prices, or you can have a look at some of the bank accounts that I just recommended and choose which one works the best for you. And once you open it, you can rename your fund something specific. So you can call it emergency fund or peace of mind fund, safety net, whatever resonates with you the most. Because that way, when you're saving the money, you're more motivated because you know it's for something specific and it's easier to keep contributing. Step 3, pay yourself first. Here's where most people go wrong. They get paid, they pay their bills, they treat themselves a little bit, go shopping, dinner, whatever the case may be. Then they try to save what's left. But this usually isn't a lot left. Now, wealthy people, they do the opposite. They pay themselves first because they understand that their goals are a priority. So they prioritize paying themselves before they pay anybody else. So treat your emergency fund like rent. It's non-negotiable. Every month it gets paid. And an easy way to do this is to automate it. This way it will remove any friction and need for motivational discipline because it gets done for you. So there's so many different platforms you can use. So why not take advantage of technology to make the process easier for you? So set up a standing order so the money leaves your account automatically. I've done this for myself. Each time I get paid, a certain amount gets transferred from my current account to my savings account, automatically done for me. I don't even have to think about it. I've just set the amount and it gets done for me consistently. So you can do the same. Whenever your payday is, set up a standing order so it leaves your account on that day and it goes straight to your savings account. Now you might be thinking, I don't have a lot of room in my budget, so how am I going to save this? Just save what you can, even if it's just 50 or £100 a month, it's better than nothing. If you save £50 a month for the next year, that's £600. If you save £100 a month for the next year, that's £1,200. That's £600 or £1,200 more than you had before. And it will all be done automatically. So your money will be working for you in the background. So your micro challenge for this month is to set up an automation. You can do this straight after you watch this video. Step 4, reduce the big 3, that's housing, food, and transportation. If you really want to speed things up, cutting daily Starbucks isn't going to cut it. You need to tackle the expenses that are really going to move the needle, and that is your big 3, housing, food, and transportation. For most people, those costs take up 50 to 70% of their budget. So if you really want to make a big difference, go for those 3. So housing, can you try to negotiate your rent with your landlord? Can you flat share? If you have a spare room, can you rent it out? Or can you maybe move to a cheaper area temporarily? Food, can you eat out less? Can you cook at home more? Can you prep your meals? Transport, can you get a cheaper car or use public transport a bit more often? Now let me be honest with you. This may feel uncomfortable, but the reality is if you want to improve your finances and build your emergency fund, you're going to have to make temporary sacrifices and have a period where you're uncomfortable. But the great thing is once you have this in place, your finances are set, and from there you can start moving towards other financial goals. When I was building my emergency fund, I started with reducing my food costs because I was spending a lot of money on eating out with friends and ordering food delivery services. So what I did was, I thought of my favorite meals. I created a weekly menu. I made a list of the groceries that I would need to create those meals. I went shopping. I tried cheaper grocery stores so I could get the ingredients for cheaper. And that saved me quite a lot of money. Once I had that habit in place, then I moved on to reducing my transport costs. So I got a car that was cheaper to maintain. Filling up my petrol tank cost me £25. Car tax was like £30. And the only maintenance that I needed to do was get my MOT once a year. And that helped me save so much money and it really sped up the process. But you don't have to do all of these things at once. So your macro challenge for this month is to choose one of the big 3 expenses and try to reduce it by £50. Step 5, boost your income. There's only so much you can cut back, but there is no limit to how much you can make. So at some point, you're going to want to look at ways to boost your income. And there are a few ways you can do this. One of the easiest ways is to ask for a raise. Now, I know some people may find this challenging, but at the end of the day, you work hard, so you want to be paid fairly. So ask for a raise, speak up for yourself, be prepared with evidence of the value that you bring. So for example, say that you worked on X project that increased your revenue by this amount. Here's feedback from my colleagues. You can also sell unwanted clothes and shoes on platforms like eBay, Vinted, or Depop. Or if you have any skills, whether they be from your full-time job or just any hobbies that you have, you can offer freelance services or you can start a side hustle. When I was living above my means before I improved my finances, I used to shop a lot. So one of the first things that I did was I sold my unwanted clothes on eBay. It was super easy. That gave me a massive boost and I funneled all of that extra money into my emergency fund. So your micro challenge for this month is to choose a method to boost your income and execute it. Number 6, do a monthly expense audit. You can't manage what you don't measure. If you want to build your emergency fund fast and improve your finances, you need to stay on top of your spending, look at areas that you're overspending and really know your numbers. I think this is one of the things that trip people up the most. Now you can do this by using a budget tracker, because this will allow you to see how much you're spending in each area. So for example, you could be spending a lot on Ubers and not realize it, but by having a budget tracker, you'll be able to see that. This will also allow you to spot any money leaks. So for example, you could have a gym subscription that you realize that you're not using, or you could have apps that you sign up for that you've forgotten about and you're being charged for it, but you don't realize it. And this can allow you to cancel those subscriptions and get some of the money back. And this is also a good time to look at lowering your bills. So think of your utility bills, like your gas, electricity, your internet. You can actually reduce those bills. So it's a good time to call up your provider and be like, hey, I've been a customer for X amount of time. Are there any deals? You can look on platforms like Uswitch again and see the best deals in your area and compare prices. You want to save as much money as you can. Also, if you tend to impulse buy, you can think of trying to implement the 48-hour rule before purchasing any non-essential expenses. Because most of the time you realize that you don't actually need it. So if, say for example, you're looking on Zara and you see a really cute outfit, you add the items to your basket, you leave it for 48 hours. If within those 48 hours you're still thinking about it and you can think of at least 3 different ways to wear the outfit, then you can buy it. But if you've forgotten about it, that means that you don't need it and you can leave it. And trust me, this has saved me so much money. So your micro challenge for this month is to cut one expense and funnel that extra money into your emergency fund. Step 7, celebrate the small wins. Saving for an emergency fund can feel like it's taken forever. So track your progress and celebrate along the way. Every £100 saved is a milestone. And I remember for me, once I saved my first £1,000 in my emergency fund, I was so happy because I really felt like I've got some protection. Progress fuels motivation. So keep a tracker in your notes app. You can write it down on paper and just keep track of how far you come. I've actually got a blog post that I will link below where it walks you through how to build your emergency fund, and it also has an emergency fund tracker which you can download and use to track your progress. So your micro challenge for this month is, once you've saved your first £100 or £1,000, celebrate the progress, and you can even do it with a free reward like a movie night at home with your favourite snack. What to do once your emergency fund is full. Once your emergency fund is fully funded, you can focus on building wealth, redirect those automatic payments to invest in or working on your next financial goals. So here's the mistake I made. I saved too much money. And I know this might sound weird because you're like, there's nothing wrong with saving, but there actually is. I kept saving because it felt safe, but the problem is with inflation, your cash is actually losing value over time. That's why your emergency fund is for protection, not growth. So once you've saved your emergency fund, move on to your next financial goal or investing, because you don't want to keep too much money in cash. So if you take one thing from this video, it's this: building your emergency fund is the first step to financial freedom. It protects you, it gives you peace of mind, and it sets the foundation for reaching all of your other financial goals. So let me know in the comments below, how many expenses are you aiming to save for? I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and if you want to know exactly where I'd put my money after filling out my emergency fund, check out my video on how to manage your money like the 1%. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.